Hi everyone, I'm Chris. I'm going to take you through lesson 14 of the Contact Forces plus Computer Science. We have finally made it to the end of the unit project. In lessons 14, 15, and 16, we're going to set goals, criteria, constraints, and then have students work on this project and then give each other feedback. So we're really finally there at the end of the road. All of our hard work for computer science is finally paying off. So let's dig in. Here's how we got here. Obviously, we've spent a lot of time looking at different types of sensors, modifying code to get those sensors to work and do what we want them to, including measuring speed, forces, kinetic energy. In this unit specifically, we're going to be looking at criteria and constraints, brainstorming what they are for this project that kids will be working on. And then after that, kids can start working. So this lesson is a one-day lesson. There's about 25 minutes of preparation listed. I think it's more like 10 minutes of preparation. The students will be brainstorming design goals and so on. It's not a lot of materials for today. They'll need their student devices for their engineering design journal, but really not a whole lot more for lesson 14. So this is the whole lesson here. It's all in one day. The first 20 minutes are navigation as we read about an anemometer, which is a force sensor system with some modifications to the sensor so that it can catch the wind and either measure the wind speed or the force according to the wind. And then we kind of remind ourselves after that reading of all the different ways that we could use our sensors to measure forces or all the different ideas that we came up with in previous lessons. In part 2 of this lesson, we're going to focus on the constraints. So these are the limitations we have in our classroom around time, materials, etc., that we're going to have for this project. And then part 3 is where initially students brainstorm and then we come back together as a class, developing a list of criteria. What are the things that are going to be important for our project to be successful, both in terms of software and hardware? And then we navigate into thinking about how we get started the next day. Overall, we're figuring out in this lesson that our project is defined by the goals we have for it, the constraints that limit us, and the criteria for success. So let's look a little bit more in depth. For the navigation piece, the first 20 minutes here, I would point out that these anemometers, like you can see in the picture just below me, they're not just a sensor, but they've actually got extra parts attached. Just like we had in the lab for lesson 12, where we were using 3 different sensor systems to help us measure whether an impact was high energy or low energy for the collision. I would actually encourage students to have a useful application here to help others, although they can be a silly invention if they want. But I would suggest they think about somebody they know or a group of people that they might know that might need a little bit of help, and how could we help them out? What's something where they would need to know something about a force, be able to measure that force and help design something that could do that for them. In part 2, we're going to identify constraints for this. Realistically, we want to think about what you can do in the classroom and what we're limited by. Our first constraint is time. Well, in lesson 15, they'll have 3 days to work, 1 day on the sensor, 1 day on the software, and 1 day just to troubleshoot and test it out. And then they'll get 1 day of feedback in lesson 16. So that's their first constraint, time. We have constraints on materials, what we have available to us in the classroom, such as microbits and sensors. And think about what sensors have been working. If there's a sensor system that has been really giving you trouble in the classroom, maybe eliminate that as an option for students just to help make them successful. You might want to limit the sensors more depending on how comfortable you feel with the sensor systems and how they've been working for you. One last constraint I say is that there can't be any permanent modification of sensors. So you can't glue anything to it, because realistically, we're going to need the sensors back after each day so you can use them with each of your other classes. All right, part 3, we're developing a list of criteria so we know if we're successful with this or not. All right, we're talking about what do we need to be successful for the hardware? What do we need to be successful for the software? And you're going to look at each of those subsystems. You're going to brainstorm how to communicate students' thinking. So once you've got these criteria, how do we know if we met them? So students are going to be showing this in their journals. So how How could we show this? Because they're going to be getting feedback eventually in lesson 16, and we need to be prepared for that. Finally, if you're like me, you probably teach many sections of this, and you want this list of criteria to be the same or very similar, at least, for all of your different sections. So how can we make that happen? Well, first of all, you want to guide them towards similar lists. And so I would prepare a list of this before you start teaching. And then as ideas come up, making sure that your lists between classes are similar so you can combine those into one list for all of your classes. Now, if students bring up something that's not on your list, that's terrific. But I would then bring that up in other classes. Hey, my first period class came up with this. What do you think about this? Should we have this in our list or not? That way you can be more consistent with all of your classes. All right, from here, we're going to spend the next 3 days working on this. You can see this is a slide from lesson 15 here. First day, you're going to be developing solutions for the hardware and actually building those sensor systems. The second day, you're going to be coding for it. The third day, they're going to be testing it out, downloading the code, managing any surprises here or there. And then after that, they're going to be giving each other feedback on their designs. That's lesson 16. All right, there's not a lot of materials for this lesson, so we're just going to look at vocabulary and posters. First of all, they're going to see the word anemometer in that reading for part 1. That's not a huge word, but I'd post that on your word wall, as well as the words constraints and criteria here. They should have seen these words, constraints and criteria, in prior units with OpenSciEd, so hopefully this is not the first time that they're seeing these, but they're seeing how they come up in the engineering design process again and again. Finally, some posters. There are a couple posters from prior lessons that you want to probably have handy. First of all is from lesson 9, the comparing sensors poster. It looks like this. And from lesson 12, the 4 sensor system initial ideas from lesson 12. These posters are going to be good in terms of reminding yourself what are some of the purposes for sensors we were thinking about in prior lessons. And in this lesson, we're going to be developing 2 new posters, the end of the unit project poster here with the goals and some of the constraints, and then a criteria poster based on what they're putting in their engineering design journals that's got both the criteria and how they're going to communicate their success in that criteria for both the hardware and for the software pieces. All right, well, listen, this is a great moment. If you've successfully taught this lesson, then the kids are going to be working the next few days. They're going to just really love this piece because here's where they get to let all their creativity shine. All right, enjoy.